Hey guys, what is going on? My name's Tyler McNabb, and this is my 2019 Yamaha YFZ450R. And in today's video, we are going to do a full walk around of the quad after the XC build this winter. And I'm going to tell you all the parts that I have installed on it, and just overall do a full walk around so you guys know everything that's on it, because I did one of these videos for the 400EX when I built it, and I need to do another one because I have since updated some parts on it. But I want to go ahead do a full walk around of the YFZ since the build is wrapped up at this point. There is one or two parts that are going to come in here shortly that you will see, but I will go ahead and highlight those as well. And so bear with me here. I believe I know all the parts that are on here. I may forget some. I've got my phone in my pocket. Hopefully I will remember all of the parts that are installed. But anyway, one of the first things that people ask about, we'll get started off with, is the engine. So this is going to be pretty straightforward because it's stock. So we have a stock top end, stock bottom end in this thing. When I got it, just at the beginning of this year, or sorry, at the end of last year, which was 2022. This is a 2019. It looked like no one had ever been in the motor. So it had a stock top end in it. The bottom end, I assume, is still factory, or is still the factory bottom end that came from Yamaha. And so that's what I decided to stay with in terms of reliability, just to keep it good and reliable. Plus, I honestly didn't need any more power. So with the 400, as you know, that thing has a slightly built engine, but I could use a little bit more power with that thing. This thing has plenty of horsepower, and so went ahead, kept it stock for reliability's sake. And so overall, the engine is stock. However, we do have a couple supporting mods that I'm going to talk about. So first off, one of the most important things you need for the YFZ is a Vortex ECU, and you guys won't be able to see it, but basically it is back here mounted on the back of the quad. So a Vortex ECU, pretty much a must-have for the YFZ. And so the next thing we have is to help this motor breathe a little bit better is we have an HMF exhaust. I honestly don't know if this is a full exhaust or a just a slip-on, because this is a two-piece pipe, which I thought I looked on Partzilla, and it looked like the factories didn't come with a two-piece pipe. But honestly, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably a slip-on. But anyway, we've got an HMF Borge series exhaust. This is going to change here shortly. That is one of the parts that I'm waiting on. But we will have a full exhaust on this thing, very similar to this one, but you guys will see that in probably the next, well, not the next video, in a couple videos. But anyway, HMF exhaust on this thing right now. The next thing we have is one of the things you also need to do, a must on these newer YFZs, is I went ahead and put the 09 to 2010 clutch basket in this thing, because the anything 2012 and newer, I believe, or maybe it's 2011, I'm not sure. I'll put it on the screen once I find out, but I believe it's 2009 to 2010 basket is good. It's got the rubber bumpers. The other ones have springs and the clutch baskets explode. And so if you guys know anything about the YFZs, you've heard about it, and so we definitely didn't want that to happen. So we went ahead, we upgraded to that 2009 to 2010 YFZ basket. So that is in there. Next thing I want to talk about, also to make the YFZ breathe a little bit better, let's grab the rear seat here, pop this guy off. And so first thing you see here is you see a piece of foam. And so to protect this thing good and well from BNR Motorsports, I believe it is called the Silver Fox airbox cover. And so it comes with these pieces of foam, it comes with this plate, And so we have that just for a little bit of extra protection. And I've been riding with one of those for a little bit now. And as you can see, my filter pretty much looks brand new other than a couple little spots here and there. But overall, it keeps it good and clean. And so that is part of the intake that I have added, but also what we have here is a Pro Design intake adapter. It gets rid of the stock system, which is not very fun to change out, and it looks really bad. It doesn't seal the best. And so we have a Pro Design foam filter adapter, as well as a Pro Design 2-stage air filter to get this thing good and protected to make sure it's ready to go. Can suck in all the air that it needs, but also keep anything that we don't want in the engine out. So that's what we have there. We'll slap that back in real quick. Put that there. Put our seat cover back on. I'll just set it on there because I'll probably need to take it off here in a minute anyway. So that is part of our intake system. The next thing we have is coming up to the front of the engine to keep this engine nice and cool. We have the stock radiator, but we also have it paired with a BNR oversized spall fan. And so it's just a little bit bigger than the stock fan, so it's going to pull a little bit more air through that radiator, keep the YFZ as cool as possible, because the last thing you want is one of these 450 motors overheating. So there you can see that big old fan in there pulling plenty of air through that radiator to make sure we keep her nice and cool. Next thing we're going to talk about is, I'll pop the seat back off real quick. We have the BNR Motorsports 24 volt kit. So right now it is on 12 volts. And so this is just a quick disconnect. And so I've got the 24 volt battery. Let me go grab it real quick. So how this thing works is you unhook this 12 volt system right here. So this is in its current 12 volt configuration. You take this connector off. You will connect it like this to the 24 volt battery. So that plugs into there. I do it, but I'm filming with one hand, so kind of hard to do. But that plugs into there. Then you have your 24 volt system. Super easy to put in and take out, really easy to connect and disconnect, and just makes it really easy to pop this thing out, charge it whenever you need to, and you should be good to go for faster starts and overall just better performance. So with that comes an anti-gravity 401 battery. So as you can see, very small. It fits super nice in the factory tool compartment of the YFZ, so that is really sweet. But overall, great kit from BNR Motorsports, and it helps this thing start a lot faster. So we got that. Put our 12 volt back in there. Sit that down in. Slide our seat on. And so now that we've got our BNR 24 volt kit covered, next thing I'm going to talk about is, I'm probably not going to be able to show these very well, but I have a lot of cool things from 38 Motorsports. And so one of the first things we have is their AIS delete. As you can see right there, that little black plate on the front of the engine, that is their AIS delete kit. So we have that. We have their speed sensor delete kit, which you guys won't be able to see that, but it's on the back of the engine. We have their breather box, which sits, yeah, you guys won't be able to see it, but it sits right down in here, just under the, or just above the steering stem. So their breather box, and then here are the hoses for it. So here's one of them right here. Another one runs up to the head, and then the other one runs down right through here. This is the final outlet. If anything were to come out, it's going to come out down there. So we've got that, all those things from 38 Motorsports, as well as a tank lowering kit. And so it's just a couple spacers and some bolts. Lowers your tank about a 1/4 of an inch or something, and it removes the guard that's on the bottom of the gas tank. Just overall cleans up the engine bay, and it's not really necessary, so good thing to have. And then the last thing that's somewhat engine related is, I'm not sure, yeah, you guys won't be able to see it probably, back in there the top of the radiator cap there. It has a Moose Racing radiator, high pressure radiator cap, so it just bumps up the pressure at which it opens. So I think stock is like 1.6 bar, and this one opens at 1.8 bar. So just a little bit of extra pressure to keep as much coolant in that radiator as we can at all times. And so that's kind of the engine, starting off with the engine. Just wanted to cover that, and so that kind of is talking about the engine as well as everything that kind of is encompassed with the engine. And so the next thing I'm going to talk about is suspension. And so we'll start off up front, very visible, looking great. We have some BNR custom Fox Springers. And so these are a custom shock made by BNR Motorsports out of Ohio, and they are a very, very sweet shock. A lot of the components are the same that you would get in like a Fox float. They are Fox shock components, but then they also make a couple components custom that they add into this shock that makes them a custom BNR Springer. But overall, they are a great shock so far. I've ridden them. They seem to be really good. They absorb the bumps really well, and I hope to get my first race on them this coming weekend, and they should be pretty sweet. But these are a triple rate shock, which means they have 3 springs. So you see 1 spring, 2 spring, 3 spring. So we have a triple rate shock with triple adjustment. So we have high and low speed compression adjustment, as well as rebound adjustment down here. As you can see, the little rebound adjuster down there. We have all 3 of those. So it's pretty much a top of the line shock, but it's actually a little bit cheaper than brands like Custom Axis or like a Stage 5 Elka, but they're not cheap. So they're not a cheap shock by any means, so don't get that idea. However, they are a little bit cheaper than like a Custom Axis or an Elka Stage 5, but overall they are a great shock. A lot of guys run them, and I figured I'd give them a shot since I was able to pick up a BNR Motorsports sponsorship this year, and so far I like them, and I can't wait to test them out a little bit more. On the rear shock is the other part that I am waiting on. We have an Adams suspension stock revalve that'll be going on this thing. Right now I've got a stock shock on there waiting for that rear revalve to be finished up. Hopefully by the time this video comes out I will actually have it, but just waiting on that to get finished up. That should be pretty good. Can't wait to test that out. We have back up front, we've got our Hauser Long Travel XC A-arms, and these are the stock YFZ hubs. They do have the stock YFZ hubs and spindles on them. You can get LTR spindles or LTR spindle A-arms, and those are overall a lot better, I have heard. I've never actually tried them, but I just couldn't quite shell out the little bit extra to buy, $600 worth of spindles. And so we've got LTR right now. Maybe in the future we've got stock YFZ hubs and spindles right now. Maybe in the future we will upgrade to a LTR spindle setup. So we got that. Moving back, out back, we have, you can see right in here, you have that Hauser XC link in the rear. So we get that paired with the Adams suspension rear revalve. That combination should have us ready to go and good for the season. But so far seems to be good. Lowered the quad a little bit, and hopefully it'll be soaking up the bumps as well. The last thing in the suspension category that we've got is we've got our Lone Star braided brake lines. Nothing too special about those, just some nice steel braided brake lines. So good to go there. Next thing I'm going to talk about is the controls department. And so we'll move up here to the handlebars. So the first thing we got is we have a nice set of Flex handlebars by Fastco Flex handlebars. If you guys have never tried a set of these, they are amazing. As you can see, there's some elastomers in there, and so it allows a little bit of movement of the handlebars and takes just a little more shock out of the bumps and stuff. So I have ran these on all my quads, for quite a while, and I absolutely love them, and so we're going to continue running them on the YFZ. Next thing for controls is we've got those beautiful full wraparound Sycra hand guards specifically for the flex bars, so that way they mount at the pivot point and they pivot with the handlebar, coupled with some nice orange shields to just set off the color scheme a little bit more. We've got some Ori grips. So a lot of people run like the, I'm trying to think of the brand. They're lock-on grips. I can't think of their name right now, but it'll definitely come to me later. But I've ran these Ori grips for a long time. My local dealership, Rissler's Extreme ATV, has always had these in stock, and they are the comfiest grips I have ever had on a quad. They are very soft, and they definitely reduced the amount of blisters I get for sure, and so I will never run anything but these. But I also found out that Ori makes a lock-on grip, and so I'm going to order a set of those next time, so that way we can, you know, pop them on real quick, and I still get the soft pillowy grip that I really like. So those are a great grip. Check those out. Hit up Rissler's Extreme ATV. He can probably ship you a set. So he's a dealer for them, and they are really sweet. So check those out, and small plug for Rissler's Extreme ATV. Next thing we have coming up in the controls department is our Precision Pro stabilizer. So one of the most necessary upgrades for any sport quad that you should get first thing is a steering stabilizer, and I recommend none other than Precision Racing, because hands down they are the best in the business. There's no question about it. They make the best stabilizer for quads, and it's just all around great stabilizer. So I'm running the Pro model. They have a base model as well as an Elite model, but they say the Elite, or at least a lot of what I hear in the XC world, is the Elite doesn't really gain you much over the Pro, so most people just run the Pro model. So that's what I've got on this thing, and so far it is working out great, just as it should. So that pretty much finishes up the controls department. Next thing I'm going to move on to is our wheel and tire package. So another sponsor that is back with me this year is GBC Tires, and so if we move right over here, you can see them on the graphics. GBC Power Sports Tires. We have a fresh set of 21 by 7 by 10. You can see the size right there. These are the XC Master. So you can see that there, the 21 by 7 by 10 XC Master in the front. And then we move out back. This is the 20 by 11 by 9. The size is upside down. But this is the Groundbuster 3 Pro. And so this is my first time trying out this tire. I had the regular GB3s last year, regular Groundbuster 3s, and they worked out amazing. They released the Pro model last year just after I had ordered my tires, so I didn't really get to try these out. But they say the Pro has a lot more of a flat contact patch instead of, I know the regular GB3 was more rounded on the edge, and so it's just a lot flatter of a tire, better traction all around. I've ridden a little bit on them so far, no complaints at all. GBC is an amazing tire, and they do a lot to support the sport as well, so I'm glad to have them back on board, and look forward to working with them for the future. But so those are my tires. The wheels, we have Hyper Tech 3 carbon fiber bead locks, and so up front we have a single bead lock. Out back we have dual bead locks, which means you've got a bead lock on the outside and you've got a bead lock on the inside. So just really helps in it just really gives you that confidence that you don't have to worry about popping off a bead. I guess you could still pop off a bead in the front, but you hardly ever see anybody, honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody pop a bead off on the inside. So now that I say that, it'll probably happen to me. But anyway, GBC Tires, Hyper hyper beadlocks, and then we coupled that with some fresh BNR Motorsports carbon fiber mud plugs. And the carbon fiber you're seeing right there is actually on my graphics. It's the back pattern on it. However, the mud plug themselves is actual carbon fiber, so that's pretty sweet. And I've got those on the front and the rear, and so they look pretty fresh even without the graphic. But I figured since I had the mud plugs, I might as well add the graphic on there as well. Next department I'm going to talk about is the protection department. So how am I keeping this machine protected as good as I can? So the first thing we're going to talk about is you have your BCC skid plate. And so these are a poly skid plate. They are only about a 1/4 inch thick, as you can see down here, just a 1/4 inch thick. I'm not sure exactly what the exact material of them is, but they are a poly skid plate. That's what I switched from an aluminum skid plate last year that I was running on the 400. I got rid of it, got a poly skid plate, and I've been very happy with it because you don't have to deal with the aluminum skid plate rattling or anything like that. But overall, it's been pretty good to me. It mounted up relatively easy, and honestly, the price isn't too bad either. So we've got that. Next thing we're gonna move out back is our custom Ristlers Extreme ATV sprocket guard. So this is a 3/8 aluminum sprocket guard. You can see it's got the teeth to give you a little extra traction, and as well you can see over here it has multiple mounting patterns. And so the cool thing about this is if you want one of these sprocket guards, hit me up. I can sell you one. So I am actually selling these sprocket guards. So just a small, I guess you could call it merch plug. Not necessarily merch, but a small product plug. So if you want, I am selling those. Those come with hardware, and I will ship them anywhere in the US. $100 shipped. They come with mounting hardware, and they come in a vapor blasted aluminum finish. So they look really good, and it will mount to any Yamaha or Honda sport quad. So hit me up for one of those. Quick product plug, but that's what I'm using to protect my chain, and so you guys should too. So next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to move right over next door, and that is the Hess Motorsports rotor guard. And so I've always liked these rotor guards compared to like the skid plate type, because you do save a little bit of ground clearance with these, just with the swing arm. I've ran skid plates in the past, and I've just never liked them. Even that little extra 1/2 inch or whatever, it may not even be a 1/2 inch, but that's a little bit less ground clearance than what your competition is running. So I prefer the Hess Motorsports rotor guard overall. You don't have to sacrifice any swing arm ground clearance, and you have much less surface area actually contacting the ground with the rotor guard. So big, I really do like that. Next thing, we'll move back up to the front of the quad. We've got our Wrath front bumper, just keeping the front of this quad good and protected. Overall, seems to be a pretty good, well-built bumper, mounted right up, all that. Wrath is another sponsor that I have picked up this year, and so I'm really happy to be working with them. Good fit and finish, and overall seems like a good bumper. Continuing with Wrath, we'll move over to the side here. We have their H Series XC Nerf bar, and so we've got it powder coated in gloss black. These Nerf bars, not only do they look good, but they are very, very heavy duty. Got some big old Pro Peg mounts on the side of the frame there, as well as their monster stainless steel peg. And so if your boot is sitting on that, it is not going anywhere, because these are very sharp, and they're going to keep your boot in place. So good thing there. And yeah, I'm really happy to try those out this year. And so far they seem to work very, very well. Moving out back for protection, we also have, in terms of protection and also ease of movement, we have our Hauser rear drop down grab bar. Unfortunately, when I went to the Badlands with this thing, I didn't strap it down properly, and the rear grab bar here rubbed up against the back of the trailer, and so that rubbed right through the powder coat and everything. So I've got a little bit of a dent in it, but it happens. But anyway, I do like this rear drop down grab bar. It's got a flag mount, so if you go to ride anywhere that you need a flag, you got that there. It's also got some number plate mounts right there if you need those. And then overall, it just lowers the grab bar, makes it a lot easier to lift. And I am a small guy. I'm only 5'8", and this makes it a lot easier to go ahead and lift the rear end of that quad. So hit up Hauser. That is another sponsor that I was able to bring back for this year. I forgot to mention that. Hauser, another great sponsor. We've got the A-arms, the linkage, and the drop-down grab bar. All around, some good stuff there. And then the last couple things that I want to highlight on the machine, I just kind of title this as the miscellaneous category because I'm not sure exactly what category they would fit into. But the first thing I want to highlight is this 4Works custom seat cover. This thing is absolutely sweet. Another sponsor that I was able to keep for this year. And so they make custom seat covers for most sport quads, and they're truly custom. They have some that are just in stock, some normal designs, but then this one in particular is custom. So I chose the colors, I chose where they went and all that, and then I also added a little bit of text on the back, so it's got my name and number on the back. Just all around looks great. Very, very, very good quality to these seat covers. So they are more expensive than their competition, but there's a reason for it. They're a very high quality seat cover, if not one of the best in the business, and I will run nothing else but them. So big thanks to 4Works for having me back this year. Another 4Works part that we have on the back, I just installed this guy. If you follow me on TikTok, you would have seen that, and that is just your tail light eliminator kit was all that was. And so just makes the rear of the quad look pretty good. So you got some carbon fiber right there. It just cleans it up, and you don't have a big gaping hole for the tail light. So that's another 4Works product I was able to pick up from them. Next thing we have is you got your DID chain, and so that is what Rissler's Extreme ATV has always stocked, and that's what I've always ran on my quads. So you got the DID X-Ring chain, which is an O-ring 520 chain. It's their gold chain too, so you're getting the nice gold plating going down the side. Looks pretty sweet. Good strong chain. I've never had an issue with them. Something I will always run, as well as the Sunstar sprockets, Sunstar steel sprockets. And so right now I've actually just got the stock sprockets on there because they were in really good shape. But if I ever do need to put some fresh sprockets on there, I will go ahead and throw some Sunstar sprockets on there. Last couple things I've got, just some more miscellaneous, is we have from BNR Motorsports, we have their kill switch as well as their starter button. Nothing too fancy there, but the cool thing about them is they are plug and play. So all you do is you order them from them, take them out of the box, plug them right into the harness, and you're good to go. So you don't have to do any wiring or anything like that, and it makes it just so much easier. So overall, I believe that is pretty much everything on the quad. So this is what I believe to be an XC ready quad. And so a lot of people say their quad is XC ready, and everyone has different definitions, but I say this is probably the true definition of what an XC ready quad is. It's got good suspension on it to absorb all the bumps. You got good protective parts. You get your skid plates, you get your Nerf bars, your sprocket and your rotor guards. You've got a good reliable motor, all this good stuff to make sure this thing is protected, but it can also absorb anything it needs to out on the track. So without further ado, one mistake that I did make in my 400EX walk-around video is I didn't start the thing up. And so we better get to that. So I'm gonna push this thing outside real quick. We'll start it up so you guys can hear it run, and then I'll probably end out the video from there. Okay guys, well, I got this thing pushed outside, and so let's go ahead and get her fired up. Okay guys, so there you have it. This thing, not only does she look good and she function good, but she sounds great as well. So go through, I'm gonna highlight all of my sponsors real quick. I mentioned some of them, but some of them I didn't. And so go through real quick just here with my graphics. I mentioned we got our GBC Tires, great sponsor coming on board again. We got Hauser, once again coming on board, great company, makes some great suspension products, hit them up. Fast Flex, that's a new one for this year. Like I said, I've always ran Fast Flex bars, but I was finally able to get them as a sponsor. Wrath Racing, new one for this year. Great protection components. You got the bumper, you got the Nerf bars. They also make some other protection stuff. Great company there. Fly Racing, always making me look real sick with some super nice gear. I've got some fresh gear for 2023, so you guys will see that. You'll probably see it. You would have seen it already in the first race coming up here. Or not the first race, but the second race of the year. First race, I wore last year's gear because I thought it was going to be muddy. But anyway, got fresh gear coming. Psycho handguards, that's a new one that I picked up, and I'm really glad I did. Look great and function great, keeping the hands safe. We got 38 Motorsports. I highlighted them. Sponsor I picked up this year for the YFZ. They make a lot of great products for the YFZ, and so hit them up for anything YFZ related. HMF exhaust, had them last year. Put a beautiful exhaust on the 400, and that kind of spoils it there, but that's what we're going to be putting on this thing as well. So I've got it on order, just waiting for it to show up. You have 92 Technologies, which is 92 Crew goggles. That is a new company that I've welcomed on board this year. I'm glad I'm able to work with them. And so they make some sweet goggles. And so I have been very excited to try them out. Wore them at the first race, really liked them. So I'm looking forward to working with them for the rest of the season. You have Walton Fishing Baits, which is a buddy of mine that I race with, Jace Walton and Wade Walton, a couple of brothers. They've got a fishing bait company. So if you're in the Lagodi area and you need some sweet fishing baits, hit them up, Walton Fishing Baits. Next thing we got, we'll move over here to the side. We've got A+ Printing. Big thanks to them for coming on board this year. They are making me some sweet shirts. If you guys ordered a shirt, hopefully you've actually gotten them by the time this video comes out, but they should be shipping out here shortly. And so from the time that I'm filming this. So big thanks to them for coming on board. If you need any shirts printed or any sort of screen printing in the Brazil or close by area, hit them up. Ristler's Extreme ATV, my main sponsor. I've been working with him for quite a while, and he has been a very big part of my program, and I really couldn't do a lot of this without him. And so, like I've said in the past, he is a great guy to work with. He can get you some great deals, and he can probably ship the stuff that you order from him directly to your house. So hit him up, support a small local business of a guy that is supporting the sport. Hit him up. Great guy to deal with, Ristler's Extreme ATV. We got BNR Motorsports, new one for this year. They make a lot of cool stuff for the YFZ. I have a lot of their stuff on here, not just the BNR Springers, but also just a bunch of little knick-knacky stuff too, little sensor deletes and plugs and all that kind of stuff. Out of Ohio, they're great guys to deal with. They know their stuff. Hit them up. Adam's Suspension, he's always been my go-to suspension guy. He's doing my revalve. Once he gets that finished up, we will be set to go on that. I'm looking over here. I think that might just be about it in terms of sponsors. Nope, I do see one. 4Works. We got 4Works on board. Makes this beautiful seat cover, and they make a buttload of carbon fiber parts that are really, really awesome. So hit them up. Big thanks to them for coming back on board. Had them for the beautiful carbon fiber hood on the 400. So really glad they're back on board. And I think the last and final sponsor is Pro Graphics. And so Pro Graphics out of Ohio, Elizabeth Harper, she makes a mean graphics kit, and it turned out sweet for the YFZ. So hit her up for a really sweet graphics kit, and yeah, overall, you won't be disappointed. So that is the 2019 YFZ450R XC Race Build Walkaround. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I tried to go in depth. I think I ended up making this video like almost 30 minutes or a little longer, so sorry if it's a little too long, but I just wanted to make sure I covered everything, and then also I like to elaborate on the companies that I use and the parts and why. So like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if there's any questions on this build, and throw them down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any of them for you, and I'd be happy to give you part recommendations as well. So thank you guys for coming and watching. I really do appreciate it. We're going to have a lot more racing content coming up here shortly, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it, because it's going to be a fun 2023 season. So once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.